Alright, everyone, here goes. So, I'm about to talk politics, and like I said, I will do 4 parts, but really I will do 5. The way it's gonna go is that part 1, 2, 3, and 4 will each dissect the respective platforms of each party, and of course, I am starting with the best for first, or at least what I think is the best at the moment. It might change, and that, my friends, is the Green Party of Ontario. Now, most of the information here is really just a cut and paste from their platform. I'm hoping it won't be too long and not stretchy, and I'll try to do the best of this. So, to start things off, what does the Green Party of Ontario want to do? Well, they want to help small businesses and medium businesses. These are businesses that make a payroll of less than 5 million. How do they want to help them? Well, they're willing to increase what is called the employer health tax. Right now, it is allocating $450,000 to these businesses as a tax reduction. They want to double it to almost $1 million, up to $900,000. So what will that do? Well, this simple change will double the amount of local jobs. Alright, moving forward. This seems to be a pretty hot topic, which is cool because I'm very interested in that field of work. It's transit. Well, the Green Party of Ontario are no stranger to sustainable transportation, and with that said, they want to wish to increase transit across all Ontario as the current form is a piece of shit. I fucking said it. And the proof? The average daily commute in the Greater Toronto Hamilton area is currently 80 minutes. 80 minutes stuck in a car. Compare that to me. At the most, I'm doing 100 minutes on my bicycle, but I'm getting 100 minutes of exercise. Compare that to Phil, who's only doing 20 minutes by bike. Like, clearly something is wrong here. It's fucking outrageous. Thank God I don't live in Toronto. And if you ask most Ontarians, that's the number one reason why they'll be happy not to live in Toronto. It's because of traffic. So, how are they going to go forward with this? Well, the Green Party of Ontario wants to create revenue tools that are fair and that will work and that are progressive. So what are these tools? Well, they want to implement a congestion charge. Now what will that do is that when you're driving in fucking traffic jam, you'll be charged. You'll be charged for creating that traffic jam. And then, of course, less people will want to ride in traffic because it'll be more expensive. But more importantly, the people who are in traffic, who are just like doing their groceries, will be so grossed out by this tax that they'll never fucking do groceries ever again at 4 p.m. Which is awesome because they can do it at 2 p.m. and then you have less traffic. So, that's the number one tool they want to do. Number 2, a gas tax. So yes, the Green Party of Ontario wants to raise the gas price, essentially. Now that might seem shitty at first, but again, you raise the gas price, you give people less of an incentive to drive, and what that does is it'll reduce the traffic, and I bet you, I put my hand in the fire that if all these things were to come in place, there would be so many less cars in the road that yes, gas would be more expensive, but because you'd be actually moving instead of being in traffic, it would cost you less at the end of the day for your gas than it does now. And that's with an increase in the gas price. Interesting stuff. So, what all these things will do, and then they want to increase parking or do parking fees, but I won't go into that too much. But what this will all account to is they'll raise $3 billion a year. Okay, with those small things, they'll be able to raise $3 billion a year, and then they'll be able to operate transit efficiently throughout Toronto, or throughout Ontario. So that's pretty awesome. Moving forward, right now a big debate is electricity. It's very expensive in Ontario, especially compared to Quebec, who have all those big dams and they really get electricity cheap. So, I know Eve has been ranting for the past 3 years how they canceled the gas plant. I didn't check the other parties yet. But what the Green Party wants to do, they're not looking at producing more energy. They're looking at conserving it. Seems smart to me. What do they want to do? They want to make your homes better and more energy efficient when it comes to heating, which is totally fucking awesome. Now, how are they gonna do that? They're willing to give a grant of $4,000 to 1 million homeowners in Ontario. That's about a quarter of homeowners. Crazy. So that's how they'll solve it. Now here comes one of the biggest goals of the Green Party of Ontario. It's the one which touched base earlier today. It's about merging the school boards together. So right now we have Catholic, we have public, and then we have English and French coming out of each party. So we have four boards. And then what happens when you have 4 boards? Well, you end up, or they estimated that by having these 4 boards, you end up wasting $1.2 to $1.6 billion every year in duplicate services. Because think about it, when I went to high school, the other high school was very close, and then you have to have a bus for that school and then a bus for that school, then they end up both being empty, and it's just more chaotic. Think about it. If you have 4 schools to allocate, or you just have 2, or it's not necessarily about reducing the amount of schools either. I want to make that clear. It's just about being more efficient, because then everybody's working together on one thing. L'union fait la force, like they say in French. So that's about it for that one. But essentially, one cool thing about it is that because there's this fight for school boards, some of these smaller schools right now, because it's a thing about money, they're about to be shut down. But if these boards were put together, they could actually still maintain open. And what that translates to is that merging the school boards makes it more likely that your kids will be able to walk, bicycle, or cartwheel to school. Pretty cool, eh? Now, with kids comes reducing child poverty, which is really horrible. Think about it. Think about being 8 years old and not being able to eat nutritiously and having a comfortable bed. I mean, it's awful. We've all been kids. Some of us are parents. At the end of the day, we're all humans. So why the fuck would we want that? And not only would we want that, but currently in Ontario, population of 11,400,000 kids live in poverty. It's 1 in 7, and it's 1 in too many. So the Green Party of Ontario, their statement is, poverty is harmful for the people who experience it, and it's dangerous for the societies who ignore it. I fucking agree. So anyways, a bunch of revenues will be added with their platform, so if you're wondering how they'll be able to tackle that, it'll be with some of the extra cash flow coming in. But either way, they're willing to fucking tackle it. Thank you, and I'm glad for it. Alright, so this one's an interesting one. It's called the Social Innovation Foundation. In a nutshell, it encourages employment for young Ontarians, or for young adults, which is genius. And young adults, but I'm being selfish here. What does young adult signify? It means Matt Corp, Mathieu Seguin, our fucking Hollywood director. It means Pascal, the future Mason. It means Phil. It means Phil, the future salesman. And it means me, the engineer / governor, if you want. Eve, I'm not sure about you. You're getting pretty old. And anyways, you're self-employed, so you're all good. Well, technically, if you're self-employed, they would still help you. But nonetheless, I think you're out of the question, out of the discussion. So why is that important? Because, I mean, some of you old folks might be pissed off, right? A lot of you are already struggling, but the facts are this generation has more education than any other generation that has come before them, and yet they have twice the unemployment rate. So we have a bunch of these smart, clever people, and yet, we don't have nothing good to do for them. So in the end, it's really bad for the economy, because as Ontario, we invest a lot of money in educating these kids, and then we don't even use their talent. So it's horrible for the economy. And of course, it's bad for their health, and it's tough on their families if they do have a young family, which it's always common. I mean, I have a lot of Facebook friends who have been posting kids on their wall, so Clearly, some of us have families at that age. Now, what does it mean for you if we start helping people like me? Well, better everything. That's what the fucking Green Party says. Better everything. But seriously, Ontario, and this is just an example, Ontario high school students have figured out how to give plants growth-promoting vitamins. They've also figured out how to relieve pain with hot peppers and how to filter water with oregano. So bottom line, what will they think of next? And more importantly, it's not necessarily about what they'll think of next, but this party is willing to develop that to a next stage. They're willing to support our ideas, which which is great, because facts are facts. At that age, we are the most creative. Sorry, the English is starting to fuck up. But we're getting through here. So this is one of my favorite. It says, put food and water first. I'd say it's pretty important, considering it is the essential to human life, essentially. So, here are the facts. Ontario is losing 365 acres of farmland per day. That is half the size that my parents and Amar and Giselle own. So half of that gone. Fucking gone with fucking concrete and houses. But mostly fucking concrete, because there's concrete underneath your house. So, back to the point here. It makes for an area the size of Toronto every year. So we have this gorgeous farmland, okay? You saw Michelle's garden. We have an area the size of Toronto of Michelle's garden that we are losing every year. And here's the problem with that. Is that one, we can't afford to lose farms because most of our food is imported anyways. And even worse is that once you lose it, you can never replace it. Or, I mean, realistically, you can never replace it because you can't tear down the houses. And even worse, Ontario, okay, only 0.5% of it is actual farmland. And here we are throwing the size of Toronto every year like it's fuck all. Sounds fucking ridiculous. But at least we have a party that's willing to step up to the plate and change that, hopefully. So their statement: protecting prime farmland from development doesn't cost Ontarians anything. It's a tough one to swing, but really, I mean, if you're not building on a farm, and again, you don't need to build on the farm. Think of Japan, okay? They are the people who are living the longest. Unfortunately, they have an increase in suicide now, but nonetheless, they've found a way to live healthy. And Ververpa, they are building not like this. Because, yeah, they're trapped on an island, but either way, it's fucking ridiculous building like this when you are destroying an area as big as Toronto, which is a farmland as big as Toronto every year. It's just ridiculous. So anyways, Green Party wants to stop that shit. I fucking agree. Now, moving forward, sorry that one took a bit of time, but it's food and water. Come on, guys. It's important. So, getting your fair share from the natural resources. Look at Sudbury, right? It's one of the biggest mines in the world. Look at Timmins. It is the second deepest mine in the world, and that comes straight from my roommate, okay? And right now, we have some of the lowest royalties on these companies, and I'm not talking only mining, I'm talking about minerals, fresh water, sand, gravel, timber, all the precious natural resources belonging to Ontario. Our royalties are dirt cheap. And a royalty, to my knowledge, is essentially how you let companies operate. So right now we're saying, oh, you don't really need to watch out for the water, you don't really need to watch out for the air. So essentially it's the environmental constraints that we're putting on them. And right now, they're next to none. And then what happens if we don't do that? Well, then abusing these resources, because if you can sell it like this, then you end up lowering its economic value. So over the long run, we're going to make less money with the nickel from Sudbury. So then it makes our economy goes to, well, it goes less, and then it threatens the health of our communities and our environment. Think of the day that Sudbury were to close its mines. Sudbury's going to go to shit. And if we just, again, don't enforce any kind of regulations on the monetary value of the resources in Sudbury, then we're gonna kill our community in the end. So it's retarded. So the Green Party obviously wants to increase these royalties, and now I'm not talking about shutting these places down. No, it'll be a reasonable increase, but really the only thing that it'll end up doing is that it'll finally be giving Ontarians a piece of the pie that they deserve. It's basically it, which is fair to me. Last but not least, sorry guys, my throat is getting parched here. The Green Party of Ontario wants to put an end to loopholes in the laws that were meant to protect the people and the places we love. Can you believe that? Loopholes in the laws that were meant to protect you and I and the places we love. The river would be an example of that. Well, I want to end those fucking loopholes because I love you, I love me, I love the river. And of course, if we prevent these loopholes, communities will end up saving money, because I'll give you a perfect example, and I was thrown this at work today. There was a train who had some nasty chemical it spilled in Quebec, okay? The company not right away, but they ended up filing bankruptcy because it was too expensive. Alright, they filed bankruptcy. They pretty much get out of it. I mean, yeah, sure, the company's down, but I mean, nobody really did any jail time, and the damage is still done. It is still there. And guess who's responsible for the cleanup? Canada. Who's paying for the cleanup? Canadians, taxpayers, us. So if we increase these royalties and if we close these loopholes, then we can make sure that if Inco fucks up in Sudbury, then Inco fucking pays for it. Now, I'm not bashing Sudbury, I'm just giving you an example. So that's their last point, and they close it off with this, which I think is genius. Whether you're 5 or 85, you can all appreciate the beauty. You can all enjoy the peace and beauty when you go walking in nature. And the Green Party of Ontario wants you to look forward to the next time. So essentially, they support our family reunions. Boom. Now, before I close this off, there's one last page, and essentially, it's their goodbye to us. And here's their real message, okay? It's simple. That's their message. They want to get Ontarian politics back on track. Sounds fair to me. They're tired of shell games and empty promises about the economy. It's true, I mean, a lot of the issues being talked about, they just look at fucking band-aids, but these guys seem to be going at it, you know. If it comes to the energy, they're willing to conserve energy instead of producing more, which will end up costing you more. They're frustrated about our schools being split up because it is a big fucking waste. They want Ontarians to find local, meaningful, cutting-edge jobs. That's what they want. They're not pussyfooting around. No, they want to support the local, which is genius. And essentially, they're tired about the gimmicks that promote energy consumption, like I said, not conservation. And they think that Ontarians should get a fair rate of return for the use of precious resources. I think so too. I think if Ontario has all these great things, water, like think about it, okay? They steal our water, they sell it at 1,000 times the price in a fucking plastic bottle that then they put in our dumpster that then Ontario has to clean up. Fuck that shit. And with that, Mike and the Green Party are committed to bringing honesty, integrity, and good public policy back to Queen's Park, which is Ontario's parliament, by the way. So boys and girls, join us, think big, expect better, and vote green.